Yay. It's only 10:46 and we're starting to make marks. All right. Second camera. Everyone's got their pencils ready. I'm putting this back where it should be. All right. The warm up for today, the stylized bunny rabbit. All right. So I'm going to make mine, I think, a little bit bigger, and I'm not going to make it in two. I'm not going to make mine in two separate. I'm just going to draw one big bunny over here. Having done the kangaroo, which was on a previous video or whatever, when I showed you, this angle right here that runs basically from the elbow, the crack in the elbow, through the corner of the eye, and then out through this ear, that's like a pretty important diagonal. And I think it actually echoes like close to like the angle or the vector of the rib cage, that the rib cage was in there. And then we're going to get an axis playing off of this vertical. So we're basically going to get anchored. We're going to get this head anchored by these two major construction lines. And the reason it's so interesting, I think, is because these two construction lines where they make this crisscross in the middle, that ultimately gets erased. So if somebody were just looking at this bunny, they might notice that there's a connection between the inside of that ear and the front of the torso. They might make a connection between this arm and the outside of that ear. I mean, but probably not. And it's just nice to establish a center of balance through the middle of the head. And that's usually when you're working with figures, that's usually what happens. So if this is my center, if you wanted to bring the center line all the way down into the middle of this foot and those toes, I mean, I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that this artist didn't do that, because having a vertical run through the whole design is a huge unifying component. So if we set up this vertical and then we set up this angle, we're going to be able to place the eye at that angle here. Now, we've got that angle for the eye. We know that the top of the head is going to run this way, and it wants to make a square. So we have more of a rectilinear where at the top of the head to the corner of the eye, and then it's going to do this kind of arching smile. It's like from the bottom of the cheek coming around the bottom of the chin into the jaw, and then back up into that, puffy sort of rabbit. There's rabbit cheeks, I guess you would say. So now we don't have a rabbit yet because we don't have the ears. So let's get these ears sooner than later. And however big you make these ears, that's up to your rabbit. So if it's me and where I am, I'm making my ears probably I'm not making them bigger. But if I was going to err on making these ears larger or smaller, I would err on making them bigger, because it's like the bigger the ears, the more rabbit-y it is. Okay, cool. So we've got eyes. Whenever you're drawing an animal, you need eyes, nose, mouth, ears. So let's do the eyes. Let's get the nose. This cute little, it's almost like a little ring. In my mind, rabbits have these little triangle noses, and then they lead down into the rabbit's, mouth. Not that I'm overdoing it. It's just like I'm adding more information because I know that it's there. I can always erase it later. And again, we're drawing a rabbit, so we get to choose what to leave in. We get to choose what to leave out. This artist left out the mouth completely.
Isn't the mouth, and then the corner of the square is the nose, like a side profile?
Say it again.
Like the corner of the square.
Oh my gosh. You're saying this is the nose?
Yeah.
And then that's the mouth?
Yeah.
Maybe. Dude, maybe. Okay, let me just see that in my own head. smiling, nose, and then the eye. I mean, that's, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I love that thing. I don't know if that's what I don't think that's what he's intending, but I could be completely wrong. Because if you look up here at some of his caricatures or towards the top, they're all over the place. Nice. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can get the rest of the body parts. Well, we've got like his little rabbit paws, his arms, I should say. Then his large rabbit feet. Of course, there's a tail. I think these are both knees. So one is like an upside down L for the knee versus this curving moment for the knee. Let's see if we can link up the head to the tail with this boomerang. Head to the toe, I should say. All right, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to boomerang his back, turning down into those thighs, leading down across into the foot. And I don't know how true that is right now. There's like not a lot going on. So a lot of this sketching that I'm doing right now is with faith. Sketch that. Another free answer, that original crisscross line, that diagonal, that then goes into the crux of the elbow and then circles down into this little rabbit paw. And I can add some little rabbit fingers. This looks like the other paws. And then if I want to turn this rounded part of the glutes, this is basically his lower back into part of his thigh, it's super curvy. The artist balances that out with the rectilinear knee. So this is basically the hip to the knee. So this is the top of the thigh, top of the kneecap, and then it comes down from the front of the knee. And then that's going to transition into the ankle to the tip of the toe. I love it. Now we've established where the intersection where the knee and the leg hit, that is now our new like ground plane. So I can run that horizontal. And then we've got the fluffy tail. The only two other lines that we need to represent in this construction phase is the curving knee, which intensely overlaps at the crux of the ankle. So this is the ankle to the toe. And in my world, I'm really trying to make sure that both of those feet are in the same wheelhouse, meaning, this foot isn't way too big to this foot, because this is still ankle to the ball of the foot, ankle to the ball of the foot. There's some like rabbit toes.
And one of the, Trevor, one thing that I'm noticing, and please let me know if this jives.
Yeah.
You had said that it really doesn't matter the size of the ears, and if anything, perhaps if you're to err on the size of on the larger scale.
Yeah.
I started to make one of my rabbit feet really large unintentionally. Can that work as well for the ears if they have to err? It's okay to err on the side of large.
And as long as the left foot matches the right foot.
Okay.
I think that's what you're looking for. Okay, so a lot of times when you think about drawing, you think, oh, you make a line and then you just let that line, be a divider between, the edge of an object and the background or something, or but you don't necessarily see the line as an element of beauty just by itself. And line variation is a stylistic element to art that you can control and you can compose. The main idea is that you can compose it. So when I'm talking about composition, I mean, I've drawn this line that represents the back and the bum and the angle of the foot, but now I'm going to compose it by controlling how refined the line is and how thick and how thin it is in kind of strategic areas. So it starts thin and it does not connect. There is an area of what we call passage. So we know that the body connects with the head. We know it, but we're trying to show that this chin comes in front of that neck and the back. So by making that line not connect, it suggests that there's a separation between the head and the body, and one's not like running seamlessly into the other part. So that line separation between the cheek and the back is called passage, and it just means passage. It just means that this line, there is an atmospheric separation between the head and the body. And then, so that's an element of composing the line, whether they touch or they don't touch. Thin up at the connection, and then thicker towards the bottom, and then curve and straight. So this is kind of the curving component, and then it's going to transition into a straighter component. So even though the line doesn't vary that much, it goes thick curve to thick straight, and then it goes thick straight to thin curve. And then it's the interesting thing I've been noticing too, with might be one of his call signs for this little style that he's been working, is that if there is a corner, the ink tends to collect, and it might be thicker in that corner. So look at how there it gets a little bit thicker, in the whether you call it the nose or the corner of the forehead, that gets a little bit thicker. The tail is spectacular. It's a light thin line, and then it transitions into a slightly thicker straight line. So it's a thin curve and then a slightly thicker straight with a passage included. So I'm really, when I'm composing my lines, I do think out loud a lot of the times. I almost speak it. I speak the drawing into existence as I'm making the marks. There's just so much more control. Beautiful little series of curving arches, really beautiful, like boom, boom, boom. I love that it feels like it's bouncing. It's very rabbit-like. You get the bounce of the right arm, the bounce of the left arm, the bounce of the knee, the bounce of that foot, and all of that bouncing then gets balanced with the very Doric formal vertical and horizontal for that right leg. So this horizontal played into this vertical is the harmonious balance between the bunny's bouncing curves. This arm, this leg, this foot. And as I'm, composing my lines, I'm also removing the lines that are no longer necessary. I can open this face. This left ear is now in front of the right ear. And I guess they're close enough so that, and I'm gonna make the back curving because I think that looks better. So you get the front, which is curved, was straight, and then the back, which is curved, the front, which is straight, and then the back, which is curved. Now this is where you can really make it your own. I mean, there's the inner part of that ear. You could do the whiskers. You don't want to, it's interesting because the more details you put in there, the more distorted the head feels. There's some eyelashes. So now it looks a little like a little bit like a blockhead. That's okay. That's what we're warming up to do. Oh, and I didn't even think about it, but this is very Eastery.
Oh, how cute is that?
Oh, thank you. I concur. Okay. Nice. That was 15 minutes. That's not bad. Not bad at all. I just want to
Do
make sure.
we,
I want to
do
make sure.
we
I
have a,
didn't miss anything. You want a warning? You want a 2-minute warning?
I think that would be lovely.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell. Was I coffee sketching again? Like, was I going like a million miles an hour?
I was having, it was a little challenging for me to keep up. How about you all? As far as timing? Was it right on
Ellie,
par?
did you finish? Can I see? Ellie, can I see it?
It was fine. Not too long.
Good.
Yeah. Oh goodness, it's the cutest bunny.
Oh, hold on, Ellie. Keep that right there. Oh, how sweet.
Now I feel obligated to draw another bunny. Oh no, I'm ruining it. Oh God. Oh no. Okay. We are going to erase this. What is that? That is not working.
That's a distant cousin.
Yeah, that is
A very distant cousin.
yeah, I think this bunny was raised by elks or something. Yay. Should we put it, should we frame it? I really wanted to do an Easter basket, but I don't think that's happening. All right. Should I do a rectangular frame? I guess I have to do a rectangle.
Oh, I just looked up at your eggs again. They are so sweet.
Did I make that crooked? It looks more crooked on the screen. No, it's crooked. It looks worse on the screen though. It's not as bad in person. I feel like there's a lot of potential on here. I can turn this into an Easter card. I can't believe how distorted it looks on the camera though. Hold on, let me move it in this way. The box still looks super crooked. That's okay. I can always cut it down too in my paper cutter. All right. You guys want to do a quick show? Did anybody do anything creative? God forbid.
God forbid. Everyone did that.
Let's see it.
I mean,
All right.
did something creative. I know that.
Let's see, Janai, I've got you up first. Can I pin you?
Yep. Here. You see?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's a happy bunny.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is.
All right, Simone, how about you?
Really enjoying those eggs. Hold that nice and
So
still.
you think
Simone.
it's the smile too? I mean, it works. It's super cute. I like that you can see the inside and the outside of the he's a little chubby bunny. All right, Sebastian, can we see yours?
I did the other bunny.
Oh,
At the
nice.
top of the page.
I knew you were going. I knew that. That's so funny.
Look at that
Yeah, I
attitude.
think that's like the mad. I feel like it's like Mad Hatter-y.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Madeline, let's see yours. Place pin. So clean, so
Oh,
nice.
hold that up, Maddie.
That's a big one too. That's good.
Madeline, excuse me.
That's a big bunny. Dara. Thank you.
I kind of ruined mine by using a Sharpie marker on it.
That's okay.
So
Hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's not as far as a loss
I don't
goes,
know
that's not a
where-
bad loss.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and these are like clean. These are like, it's simple enough, and you have the formula, so you could just, if you needed to use it. I mean, it's very graphic, and I feel like it would reproduce really well. So you could just, use, like, do it again. It'll take you 10 minutes.
Trevor, may I see yours once again?
Sure, Stace.
I got a picture of yours with your finger in it. And I'm hoping to, there we go. And the reference for just a second as well, if you would.
Oh yeah. Is that straight enough?
That's good.
Thanks. Thanks for documenting all this greatness.
Of course. My
Okay.
pleasure.
So the next one's going to be a little bit more challenging. I don't think it's going to be that much more challenging, but it's going to take a little bit more explanation. There's a little bit more high consequences because it has to do with the proportions. Where is my bear? All right, this is the one that I woke up and I was like, well, I opened the book. I was like, we have to draw this one. Look at this bear's head over here. Bear, like the profile bear. I had whatever. I had I was at a yard sale in Philadelphia, and there was a taxidermied brown bear, and I was like, oh, that's so terrible, so sad. But then I was like, it's also so beautiful. So at the old Mitchell school, I had an actual bear taxidermy, and I drew it and painted it so many times. And every time I would paint it, it would like look like a dog. It just like looked like a dog. And I think there's a lot of similarities between dogs and bears, but this one looks so much like a bear to me and not like a dog. And I'm still gonna try and figure it out, like why I wasn't able to get it. And I really never was able to get it. So we can see kind of where we're going. So if you guys want to do pen and ink, we can sketch it first in pencil. And then you can hit it with ink afterwards. I just want to be close enough that you all can see these lines well enough. You guys can see it, right?
If you, the bottom of the bear's mouth and chin are
This bear
off
you can't
my
see.
screen. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that's okay. I'd rather sacrifice this bear at the moment, and you'll be able to see where we're going without necessarily doing it just yet. So I do want to sketch this up here, and his construction lines are really good. They're really good, and I'll show you what I'll show you how to start and everything. So again, what we're going to start with is eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. And it's like, where are those features oriented relative to one another? And then what are their relative scale? The bear's eyes are actually kind of small when you look at it from everywhere else, and they're almost very human in the sense that they're kind of close together, and they're kind of on the front plane, meaning like if you, there's this other drawing, there's a front view drawing of a cow, which we might actually do next. The faces of the animals is the meat of the lesson today. So I wanted to do at least 2, maybe 3 different animals with construction lines, and just get a sense of like, you know, the cow's eyes, for example, are so big and they're on the side of the head, where the bear is such a bigger creature overall, but the eyes are so much smaller. And you know, they are really kind of, if you think about the bear wearing sunglasses, it works. Like sunglasses.
Oh,
Let me show you.
yes.
So these are glasses, and if you look, these are just like readers or whatever. But you know, the eye on humans, the eyes are straight across. It's the front plane. And then there's like, then the head turns and you have a side plane. And that's why you get this angle. It's a 90-degree angle, and that leads back to the ears. So our front plane is where the eyes, nose, and mouth sit. And then the side plane is where the ears live. There are some animals where the front plane only has the nose, and then it's the side plane that has the eyes, you know, and the ears or whatever. So bears really have powerful 3D vision, and you know, their eyes are on this front plane. So by sketching the bear, we're almost getting a little bit of insight into how to do a person too. Okay, let's start with, let's just get this thing going. So where we're going to begin is what's called the keystone. And we have to get this keystone by linking up this rainbow arch between tear duct and tear duct. So we're going to start with the middle of the head. What I love about this artist is that he bilaterally sections off the face. So you can actually see the middle of the forehead by a line. You can see the middle of this nose by having this line. You can see the middle of the snout with this line. You can see the middle of the upper lip, the lower lip. He actually bisects it. And we are, you know, bilaterally symmetrical as well. So as an artist and a designer, you have to be able to take something and imagine where the middle of it is, and then, you know, sketch what's on the left and on the right, and notice what are the differences between what's on the left and what's on the right. So just offer me our first mark as this little rainbow arch. And then we're gonna curl in, and we're gonna just draw these little almonds. The left almond is going to be bigger than the right almond. And the right almond's gonna be squished a little bit. Cool. Now, you know, if my arch is too big, I mean, maybe it's too big, maybe it's too small. It's so early to tell that you have to collect data and then make corrections accordingly. Now, I want these eyes to look like eyes, and the artist offers us like such really good information, like so quick. So there is a brow ridge, which on humans we call the sausage, and you can understand why, because this looks like just a very short, squat breakfast sausage. And that's basically this bone structure eyebrow ridge above the eye. So we're going to see that, and then we want what's on the left we want to do on the right. So we want to notice that we have that, and it's even more foreshortened. So look at that, just like look at how this form of this like rainbow breakfast sausage is more of almost like a macaroni. It's so squat, it's almost like a macaroni. So I would do like a macaroni, like macaroni and cheese. It's more like that. And then we're going to get this lower eyelid. It's very small. I guess you do see it on that other side. And then we're going to do this bag that's underneath the eye. And this bag is not, it is bone structure, but it's basically the eye cavity, and it's going to lead into the zygomatic arch. So this is basically eye socket. All right. Mr. Bales. Mr. Bales is going for a walk. Okay, now let's do the bilateral symmetry. So I'm going to see this like slope, and it goes through the middle of our rainbow, and it's going to curve up, running right through the middle of the skull, and then it's going to flow out from the snout and kind of like angle up slightly at the tip of the nose, which is wild. I'm going to do a little, almost like a covered wagon, like like going west. Like there's this arching dome that I'm getting for the very front of the nose, and then the very back of the nose. And bears' noses and dogs' noses are the same in the sense that the nostrils face forward, and the nose itself is a different textured skin, and it's moist all the time. So it's almost like their nose is in a weird way, it's like inside out. Like our eyes are moist all the time. The inside of our nose is like, moist, when you get up into the nasal passage. But the dog's nose, if they're healthy and they're happy, is their noses are wet, and it feels almost like cool to the touch. And I think it is a temperature regulating system as well. But you want to see the front of the nose as if it were a shield. And then, so it could be like kind of a triangle shield. It could be more like a block. So it's got the arch of the top of the shield, and then it kind of is in a spade, comes back down in. And the middle of that shield is what's going to be our guidelines to place the nostrils. The nostrils are significant. I mean, there are holes, and they've run right all the way up, back to the brain. Cool. The artist does a really nice job at separating. A lot of times when you're drawing animals, there's fur and there's structural forms that all blend together. And so as the artist has to like extrapolate what are the separate parts and kind of be a little bit clear in their own mind about what those parts are. And what I love about what this guy has done for us is he kind of separates the snout or the mustache region from the actual nose itself. So if you go back up to the corner of the eye here, we're going to get this, what I would call the bridge of the nose. And that is what's going to give us basically the top of this nasal passage. And then that nasal passage is going to curve back down into, sort of like the egg shape of the mustache region.
Oh, so interesting. I didn't know there was that connection
like
that you
a little
just made
distinction.
so clear. Yes.
Yeah. Guys and gals, we've got our eyes set in here. Actually, it wouldn't hurt to probably put in a highlight for the eye. I did notice that is there. There's a little dot. This could be the pupil. It could be the highlight. It's probably the pupil, but it's gonna like come alive once you put that pupil in there. By establishing this bilateral symmetry, we could, we're in this moment where we're like really trying to collect information about the parts of the face and where their positioning is. So we've got eyes, we've got nose. Usually the nose and the mouth is such a close connection that it can be easy to do the nose and the mouth at the same time, which I think we should do. That being said, it could have been a totally legitimate order to go from the eyes, go up through the middle of the forehead, and then get into the ears. So just because I'm doing it in this order, it's just how I'm seeing it intuitively. You wish that you could draw all of the parts all at the same time, but you can't draw two things at once. And so it is what it is. So for this exercise, I'm going from eyes down to the nose into the mouth into the chin, and then we'll wrap all the way back around and get back to those ears. And it's a series of, in one sense, it's a series of mistakes. When I say it's mistakes, it means that they're not perfect and it might need some refinement, but it's got to be good enough. If you almost think about it like golf, like you hit the driver, like you very, very, very infrequently does one hit a hole in one. You just have the idea is that you're getting closer and closer and closer and closer to your goal with every additional stroke, or every, you get closer to the cup after each try. And, that's how this drawing is going to develop. Like, we tried for the eyes, we have to try for the nose, we have to try for the mouth, once it's collectively, the ball will go in the cup. Like, you will finish the hole. It's just how clean and how efficiently or how sloppy it's going to go. And sometimes you have good holes and sometimes you have bad holes. Anyway, so we've got this nose, which is wonderful. The front of the shield, I think he's even attempting to indicate with these like vertical lines that it's a dark object. The bear's nose is going to be darker. The eyes are going to be darker. Inside the ears are going to be darker. We can kind of see that in directionally where we're going. So we'll follow this center line of the nose down. And in a way, there's like this little bunny rabbit split, like bunnies have this little split in their philtrum. So the bear has this split of the philtrum. We're going to get the part of the snout that basically faces forward, and then that's going to lead into the chin. So this is the front plane. Imagine if these eyeglasses, they run parallel this way. The nose is going to run parallel. The mouth is going to run parallel. The chin's going to run parallel. And then we're going to turn to the side plane. And then that's where the mouth is. Really, the majority of the mouth is on the side of the head. So again, front of the chin, front of the mustache region, and then it turns the corner right about here and goes down the side of the head. So nice. So we've got this upper lip. There's not much to it. Most of the lips are kind of like sunken, I guess, you don't really see the skin of the lip on the bear. And it looks like the upper lip overhangs the lower lip. So then we'll take the bottom of our bear's head, which is the chin. And I guess that leads down into the neck a little bit. If mine doesn't look like a dog, I don't know what does. I think I've been born with this inability to draw a bear without looking like a dog. It's so weird, but maybe I'll win. There's still time to win in the end here. Okay, so I feel pretty successful about where my positioning is. You can go from the jaw. You can go, around kind of the separation of the face and the neck, and that can lead you back up to the ear. Loosely, you can go that way. I think it's probably smarter because there's all this area, this ambiguous area, like you don't know whether you're making right calculations. Let's go back from where we're pretty solidly established with the eyes, and we'll go back up through the forehead and see if we can place the ears that way. Okay, so I do inch up, and I'm going to find, just like an elephant's head, there's this kind of bulge that you have a left side of the cranium and then a right side of the cranium. So as you can use like the heart shape metaphor, so you find the middle of the heart and the skull arches this way, then the skull arches that way, and then it's going to S curve back in to our brow ridge. And that we really have to be thankful for the artist that he gave us that, like that is like his interpretation, and it's really useful, he experienced nature and he extrapolated that relationship between the top of the head, the forehead, leading back into those, the eyebrows. And then it's going to be a right side and a left side. And, the right side is going to be smaller, just like here. The right side eye is in foreshortening. The right side brow ridge is in foreshortening. And I'm obviously overdoing, I think, the curvature of it, but that's okay. I'm going to do the ear on the right side. And I wish I could, maybe I probably should hold off on that. I don't know. The ear on the left seems to be more complete. And this is, we know, just from drawing humans, that the arch of that ear is called the helix. And I guess on the bear, it really begins to look, it begins very thick, it attaches to the head, and then the helix arches up, and then it thins out, I guess. And then it seems to kind of just connect right with the bottom of that lobe. I'm sure on the inside of that bear, there's all kinds of wrinkles going on inside here. If you look inside of a dog's ear, there's all these crazy wrinkles. But that's not what he's trying to emphasize. In fact, he de-emphasizes it by just giving us some of these hatch marks. It looks like inside, in the lower drawing, he does give us some of the, the direction of the hair, maybe a direction of the folds, somewhat. Well, it'll be interesting to go from, the sketch phase into the refinement phase. We're going to get Helix, balances, straight lines on top, curved lines underneath, and then it thins out and then cuts under. And that is a way to really differentiate between dogs and bears, because bears have wonderfully curving, like more curving. You think about cartoons like Yogi the Bear, or they have rounded ears, and dogs have generally pointed ears. And if you look at these little, like some haircuts on these little puppies, these teacup poodles or whatever, and they make their ears look rounded. They look like little bears because of the puffballs of their ears. They almost go against like the nature of the dog. Wow, some of these bears are amazing. Okay, what else? So these are the primary features. So I'd say eyes, nose, mouth, ears are primary structures. We have a couple secondary structures with the brow ridge, and then the kind of like the bag underneath the eye with that eye socket. Now we need to kind of, further develop some of the, secondary features. There seems to be this separation between the snout and the face, or the snout and the cheekbone. And you think about, sometimes older dogs, when their eyes water, you can kind of see the track of those teardrops, and they actually stain the fur a little bit. I'm just following that track down here. And then there's these kind of intermediate zones where it's like, okay, well, where is the jaw versus the neck? There's a little bit of neck beard, and definitely more straight line structures where the fur, comes down almost like sideburns into the jaw hair, which is almost like it feels more like it's like basically the beard. I love that. I also like that he gives us a couple structural lines for the left side forehead and the right side forehead. I think that's gonna come up big. I can actually even see it down here. It looks like instead of rounding off the forehead, if you look at the picture below, it seems like he's starting to straighten it out, make you flatten it even more. It's kind of an interesting thing. There is this zygomatic arch. There's a couple lines that suggest that there is a cheekbone there. There's another set of lines in here that suggest the temples. You can feel in your own head, that side plane behind your eyebrow, before your ear, before your sideburns. That's like that soft temple region. And there's a long distance, they say, from the corner of the eye to the ear, but the bear has it too. So here's the temples, and then the hair behind there is essentially sideburns. I gotta erase my macaroni. That makes sense. So yeah, there's this great distance between the eyes and the ears. And the ears are really high in the head, and like a rabbit, I mean, they function like audio periscopes. So they're super high. So he can lay low but hear what's going on.
You can, what's going on?
That's right, Stace.
Thank you.
I don't know if I have it in here, but the bear has this wonderful, like, thick neck, and the hair kind of like meets in the middle. And it's not really showing on this one. Let's see if I can find any other sketches. Anyway, I love the way that the chest hair meets and kind of further establishes, you know, you refined the center line, you know, as it comes down, you can refine it in the neck and at the clavicles. Like their necks are huge and really broad. All right, there we go. Sweet. I'm just checking out my drawing here, and I think I'm just going to go back to the beginning and see if we can follow his mark making to, you know, clarify some of the pieces that we've already made. And, you know, the Keystone, you know, we have this, you know, very clear brow ridge, which I love. So I can strengthen my original arch. And I'm moving kind of away from construction lines, and I'm really thinking about, you know, fur and kind of clarifying more of the forms. You know, he's got the upper eyelid, he's got the fold, and, you know, that original line that I put in there, it really was the highlight. So the eyes are very dark. So in order for the highlight to read, you have to not draw it, you know. So I can darken some of these eyes. I can show that the sausage is shaded underneath and a little bit to the right. Yeah, so I'm going to put this arrow up here. The light is coming from the left, upper left. So everything that's lower right, you know, the underplane and on the right side should be in shadow. So the nose, like the front of the nose that's on the right side, that will be in shadow. The right side of the sausage will be in shadow. Oop. We got to let Dar back in.
You know, when I look at the picture below,
Mm-hmm.
I see a cross between a pig and a bear.
I can see that. Let me see here. Dar, are you back? Okay, good. Yeah. So Dar, I think I don't know exactly what you missed, but basically what I was saying is that we're moving from, you know, the sketch phase. We're going to move into, you know, the refinement phase, and we can think about, you know, where the light is coming from. And I was saying that the light is coming from this top left, and I only knew that because I started, you know, shading and copying. I could have objectively stood back and said, like, okay, where is this light coming from? But I kind of just was jumping into it. And, you know, the left side of the nostrils, the left side of the nose is light, and then the right side is in shadow. So that should give you plenty of, you know, directional. And even if you look at the front of the snout is also dark. Now, there's something weird about my upper lip here. I feel like I need to make the lip come out further, but like almost become shorter. I don't know. Maybe there's too much on this side. I know it's got to like turn the corner, but this artist, I'm telling you, is just, even if you look at the bunny rabbit, it's just such a master at, you know, balancing these curved lines versus straight lines. And so even though we're making like kind of a naturalistic looking bear, he's still using the design. He's still thinking about composing his lines and composing his curves, composing his lights and his darks, but really composing the line. And so the point I was making is that you have this, you know, epic S curve, you know, in the mouth here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, he breaks the right side profile into these two straight lines, and then even gives us like more of a vertical column for the side of the nose here. So I like that, you know, when you're trying to draw something observationally, you can get caught up with trying to make it look like the thing, and you're not designing your marks. You're not composing a beautiful arrangement of mark making, and it's not easy to do. That's the other thing. It's like you can, it's arranging, like say that you have like the shelf and you arrange objects on the shelf, you know, you can make them, you know, symmetrical, you can make them, you know, from largest to smallest. There's some kind of organizational strategy. Maybe you separate them according to color. Like you're designing and arranging objects on a shelf. And that's very obvious to people. I mean, you can tell, you know, that people are designing, you know, they're in the furniture in the room or whatever to make it look pleasing and function. When you're drawing some object or some animal or something, you're trying so hard to make it look real or look proportional that like you can lose sight of the fact that you're still making beautiful arrangements of marks on a paper, or at least attempting to get to that point. So yes, you need to have representation, but in order to have art, you have to have design. So art is basically design and representation together. And then you can even take it to higher realms where you're connecting, you know, emotions, you're connecting narrative, you're connecting you know, other aspects of what it is to be alive, you know, with the subject that you're drawing. So you're combining, you know, representation with design, with you know, deeper you know, spiritual content or narrative content. And that's this is the world we get to live in. So you have to, you know, you kind of have to pay your dues by trying to draw something accurately. Like that does take time and take, you know, effort. But once you have that under control, you know, you wind up becoming so free to, you know, to express beauty in a way that, you know, there's not very many people that have had the opportunity to do that. So, I mean, that's what I hope for all of you, at least. And I almost, you know, one of those strategies, you know, is like whenever we draw these butterflies, these kids, you know, my kids in the class like love drawing butterflies. And so what I've found is that when you draw patterns, you know, the patterns on the wings can be so complex. So if you like establish, you know, there's a tip, then instead of like moving on to like another part of the pattern in that same wing, you know, get the other side caught up, you know. So we did the tip and then the triangle, then the tip and then the triangle, and then we'll do the center spiral and then a center spiral. You know, I'm just making these things up, like left antenna, right antenna. You know, by bilaterally developing the drawing, you'll have much more unity, and there won't be such a disconnect between the left side of the head and the right side of the head. So like I was drawing the underside of the sausage here. Now I should do the underside of the sausage there. The bag of the eye, which gets a little bit of shadow here, that is deeply in shadow on this right side. You know, I'm coming up through the middle of the head. You know, I've got this forehead on that ridge, and then I've got this flat part of the forehead on that ridge. And it's not like it's hard. I mean, he gives us all the answers, you know, in some objective way. You could just copy his marks, you know, mark for mark, and you'd probably get something that looked pretty good. But I like to mimic the design process, mimic how you would draw it yourself, even though it's easier because he gives us so much to work with. These are called radiating lines. So if you have a point and all of the marks are kind of attached to that same point, they radiate out. It's like a sun, basically. I'm looking at how he made these marks in the ear here, and there's this imaginary radiating point, you know, like almost like in the middle of the eye. And then so this ear is all unified because of the way he makes those marks, which is, you know, like I said, this guy's good. This guy's real good. And he's thinking with a design mindset, not I'm trying to make a drawing of a bear. He's trying to design, he's designing beautiful marks, and he's using the bear as a jumping off point. This beautiful separation between the nose and that mustache. I just love how he's you know, he needed a line there to begin with, and then he develops it with some hatching. And I mean, you can clearly tell my snout is a lot longer, and it's like drawing animals, it's very flexible. You know, it's not, you don't have as much freedom drawing animals that you do maybe drawing a tree. But you know, if this snout is, you know, twice as long or maybe 30% longer, it still looks like a bear. It may not look exactly like a portrait of his bear, but it's still bear-like enough. Yeah, this egg shape really becomes more prominent as you add this shading. I'm really thinking about the fullness and the roundness of an egg, at least for this left side of the snout. And then it does kind of turn the corner and move into the box that is the front of the snout. So this is the front of the snout. That's in my mind. Oh, sorry. Let me slide this over. In my mind, I'm thinking this is the front plane of the snout. This is the top plane. And then the side plane is where I'm attaching my egg. The roundness of the chin is balanced out by the straight line angle of the jaw, which is so true. Again, my main reference is dogs. I mean, I've had dogs all growing up, and I've spent a lot of time looking at them. And they have these really long, thin, very flat lower jaws. And as we're sketching these, you want to think about, you know, we have our major landmarks: eyes, nose, mouth, ears. Now we have to like get now they're like kind of transitions. Like, how do we transition from the snout here, which is the side plane, to the front plane of the zygomatic arch, then to the side plane of the zygomatic arch, and then into the sideburns, and then ultimately into the ear itself. So we're going from, you know, all the way from the nose, going all the way through the snout, into the cheekbone on the front plane, into the cheekbone on the side plane, down the side, into the sideburns, and then into the ear. Like, those are all, you know, non-distinct. I mean, they are distinct things when you see them in your head, but they're not, they're blended together in the mark making. Oh my gosh, I have to Bailey's dreaming. You want to see my dog dreaming?
Dreaming?
Yeah, dreaming. He was barking.
Yeah.
Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in. He's not, I guess he caught the rabbit.
Oh, man.
He's not barking anymore. Oh man, I might have to write a children's book about Bailey, the three-legged dog. All right, maybe
That would be adorable.
Maybe we'll sketch a Cocker Spaniel right after this. All right, so I'm thinking about my transitions. So there's the transition from the bone structure of the face into the hair of the, you know, of the beard. And then, you know, this form here is so bear-like. You know, this, and it's almost like the rabbit, like how we separated the rabbit from the face of the rabbit from the neck and the back. I think that's what this line that I'm putting in here is. So this is too aggressive, but I have to show it. And it's a beautiful, it's like almost like the beginnings of an octagon. So this would be the side, this would be a vertical, this would be the underplane. You know, it's like three sides of like of an octagon. And if I just break that line up with my tone here, I can then replace with marks that look like fur. And then this beautiful, it's almost like a fan, fan shape on the hair. transitioning from the face into the neck. Man. So he gives us a trapezoid. I don't know what he's doing, but inside this ear, as round as it began on the top, the spirit of it is still rounded, but he structures it out with this like weird trapezoid. Anyway, I don't know how important that is, but the inside of the ear is darker, and then where the inner part of the ear canal, that goes really dark. And then the neck is much higher. I ran out of room on my paper, unfortunately. But you know, the ear connects and then the head goes behind the ear. So if there was like a passage moment, it would be this skull passaging behind the ear. And then you would have this skull, you know, coming in front of the left side skull. So the right side skull is passaging behind the left. So I could disconnect that line there. Same with the ear. The ear actually, in his drawing, the ear does have a passage, you know, so the line doesn't connect to the skull there, but it does connect to the side of the face. Pop out that cheekbone. So good. Well, I almost dropped a curse word there, sorry. I'm excited about this drawing. I like mine better, which doesn't always happen.
Yours does not look like a dog to me.
I know. I may have broken the curse. I may have broken the bear head.
Yeah.
Curse. To pull this upper lip in front of the lower lip on our paper, you got to be careful not to go too dark, and then just make sure that this lip stays light as you you know, shade the mouth underneath of it. And even with the you know, I'm just using my classic, my Bic pencil that I got from, you know, Sam's Club or whatever. It reads nicely in the sense that it's going really dark. What is it? What is the mark on there? It's just the number 2, HB. So I do love, for my sketches, I really enjoy using these big pencils because they always stay sharp. And then their erasers are perfectly calibrated to this, to the type of graphite that they use. Whatever they do to the graphite, the erasers work so well. Cool. All right, I think I'm done. Did anybody else finish that wants to show? Yeah, hold it up, Elliot. Let's see what you got. Oh, look at that. Did I miss the whole
Hold
section?
on, Ellie. Oh, you incorporated that with your bunny. I like
Wow,
that.
yes, you did.
Yeah.
A little closer.
Oh, even better. A little bit closer to you by maybe an inch or 2. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
It looks clear. There's so much shading in there, which is good. You might be able to go back into some of those tones and refine the line work a little bit. Like in the eyes and the nose, it looked like it got a little lost because it got so dark. You may not even have to lighten it. I mean, I'm like taking your advice. I'm, you know, just re-upping on my line work because I think it got a little unclear. Yeah, the more tones you get, the less your lines show up. You know, your line lines. Cool. Anybody else want to show? Sebastian, you want to show it? Looks like you're ready.
I did the kitty cat from the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So cute. Did you just took a screenshot of it?
Yeah.
Or did you do it from memory?
No, I took a screenshot. I could not have done that from memory.
I was gonna say, I was like, you might have a photographic memory. You might want to go see someone about that because I think the government has a job for you. Hmm. Anybody else want to show in the little thumbnail? No pressure. Oh, what's our time? 11:51. Oh man. This class should be 3 hours. There's so many good drawings in here. I mean, I could spend all year on this one. Let me just show you this real quick. Very similar types of content, but with completely different. So here's this this hog or whatever, a boar. You know, it's called a warthog, but the head is at a very similar angle. And look at the arch of the rainbow, Keystone from eye to eye, and then these very almost grotesque forms leading down through the nose, into these epic tusks, relating the inside of the outside, and then getting this like crazy pig nose. But it's like you're still running down the same center line and developing forms off of it. And then he's got these crazy horns that come off on the cheekbones, horns that are below the eye. Wow. Yeah, I would love to draw that one. And then I also want to show just really beautiful gorilla sketch too.
excuse me.
Look at this guy.
Wow. Oh, I thought yes.
So also, like seeing those eyes on the front plane, playing off, and then like instead of having the heart shape on the forehead, you have the heart shape in the nostrils. And then look at how teeny those little ears are. Anyway, he probably made this from a photograph, so like the ears are even more distorted in terms of being smaller. Anyway, that is practically human. And then I want to show you the cow. Oh, here's this. Oh, it's so handsome. It'd be nice to do a lion. I didn't mean. Oh, here we go. This is the. Here's the big cat. Here's a tiger. Relating the corner of the eye to the corner of the eye, and these very expressive, flexed muscles, center of the forehead. The snout, the nose feels very small here because it's all squinched up, and then you have the mustache region, and then the mouth is open, of course. But you still see the center of the nose on the top, the center of the nose on the front, leading down, gives you the middle of the chin. The programs just keep repeating and repeating, and they work. The proof is in the pudding. And again, whether you're drawing realistically or cartoon expression, the expression wise, an emotion that a tiger doesn't actually feel. I guess they swoon probably a little bit, but much more personified, in that sense that it's a human expression seen through the model of a lion. And then this was the other one I really was thinking about.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, the warthog, the playing of the warthog, and this is straight on. So this is more like the lines of the gorilla. But I mean, I love this internal bone structure that he offers us in the construction lines. And then here's Here's the stylized line work of the, and that looks more like a pig to me. At least the
I can see that.
character on the left, at least. This one looks like a
So-
really good cow.
So expressive.
Yeah, very, the so stylized. Look at the like that upside down L shape for the eye on that side, and then the spiral of the nostril echoed in the spiral of the ear.
Mhm.
It's nice. It's real nice, y'all. Move out here. Yeah, I'm really grateful for this book. I wonder if he did a stylized bear. Wow, he does, it looks like a polar bear. Okay, do you mind if, let me show you this other one. Look at that little page. Look at this little bear cub.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I mean, in that bear cub, it doesn't have any construction lines, but you can almost imagine, having had this, you can kind of imagine, these two now relate, and you could definitely decode,
Yes.
that little bear cub. All the forms being softer, the proportions, the eyes are bigger relative to the head. The snout is a lot smaller. Ears are a lot bigger compared to the size of the head. It's all the same features, but in a just in a very different set of proportions. You can actually see the way that the fur on his chest comes together at the clavicles. Some more caricatures. I love these little, I don't know if they are polar bears, but I'm seeing them as polar bear studies.
Mhm. Yes, so am
Wild gestures.
I. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they could be a nice warm up. Anyway, I would love, I'm going to stop the share in the next minute or two. Do you guys want to just hold up your, Ellie, will you just hold your piece up one more time? I'm going to pin you. I have you first on the line. Oh, yes. Holy crap. It's so much better. I don't know if you changed it or else I was just looking at it through a thumbnail.
Nice story.
Totally gorge. We did some imaginary landscapes last weekend, and that's what it reminds me of. All right, Stacy, you're next, actually.
Oh,
Place pin.
are you sure?
I mean, if you don't mind showing what you did.
No. So here's the bunny.
Oh my gosh, this is so up your alley.
Yes, I really,
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
See, this is why
I haven't finished his foot.
This is why you
but-
can't get. This is why you can't get tattoos, because as soon as you think you find something that is like you want forever, then like 2 weeks later you're gonna even like top yourself. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. Thank you.
And that bear is delightful too.
Thank
Very
you.
well balanced, Stace.
Thank you.
I like that. I like how you improved on the eyes. Actually gave him eyes. All right, Sebastian, I got you next. Let's just see that close. It's so much closer. It's so much better. Yeah, I was looking at it through a thumbnail.
Yes.
Cool. Look at that angry kitty. He's an angry kitty. Stay out of my litter box. Replace pin. Janaya. How was your morning? Other than being in perfect light.
Guys, skip on this one. I'm still working on it, but
Yeah. If you can email it, that would be wonderful. And then Simone, I got you up next.
Oh, Oh, Simone, freeze that.
Yeah. All right. Time to write a children's book.
Yeah,
Good
great
stuff.
line work.
Yeah, that was beautiful. You did not use any tortillon, did you? Yeah. There's tortillons for blending are like shortcuts kind of, but they're not like totally necessary. I mean, you can develop the whole thing without blending. I didn't blend anything today. It's a great technique to know, but you don't have to, it's not a crutch either. Yeah. All right, let's see. Madeline, can we see yours?
Oh, I haven't exactly finished it, but we got some.
Oh, yeah.
Freeze that, Madeline.
So that's amazing because you turned it
Yes.
towards us, and it's still so successful. That's such a good skill. Yeah, in theory, once you learn the building blocks of all of what's on a bear, you can draw the bear from any direction comes out of your head because you know all of the parts, and no matter what angle you envision it, you've got it. So that was awesome. All right, Dara, are you still there? Yes.
My bear is probably my least favorite drawing I've ever done.
Ever?
Ever?
Really?
Oh, I love that.
Wow. Can you hold that up just a little? There we go.
So the way that you might be able to improve it is making the nose like maybe 2 or 3 times bigger, like widen it and make it a larger object. And then also if you shade the sausages above the eyes, the eyebrows, they're like more furry. And if you integrate the shape with the fur, they won't stand out quite as much. So if you shade the brows and you make the nose bigger, it might turn into your favorite thing you've ever drawn. I mean, yeah, I hope so. Okay, cool, y'all. That was excellent. I'll see y'all next week. If you guys want to just email me some of the pictures you've done, I will throw them up on our Instagram. I would love to, and I'd like it's one thing seeing it through the screen, and it's another thing seeing like an actual photo. So the more I see, the better, the better sense I get, and it is wonderful. All right, I'll see y'all all next week. Oh,
Thank you so much,
yeah.
Trevor.
I think we're on next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.
Thank you.